forward. Melissa's friends still hold out for hope.
We have a case that I believe could easily be solved.
LaDonna Humphrey is no detective, but she has a lot of passion to help police close this case. Melissa's mother, who raised her alone, died years ago. LaDonna became Melissa's voice.
She was 19. She was somebody's daughter. She was somebody's friend.
She's created a Melissa Witt Facebook page with thousands of followers to keep the story alive. She also pays for a tip line, hoping someone one day will come forward with the right information that's automatically forwarded to police.
We've answered close to 6,000 emails of people that have taken interest in the case, so it's pretty active on our end.
The bad guy's vehicle would have been parked in the next aisle back to the north of her vehicle.
Ryder says over the years they've had some solid leads and people of interest, but they never panned out. Until he takes his last breath, he won't give up fighting.
That's all that I've ever wanted out of this is just see justice served, and I would still like to see it cleared.
Hey guys, welcome to Southern Gal True Crime. We're glad to have you here. If it's your first time here, welcome. We cover missing persons, unsolved cold cases, some true crime in the news, and more. And tonight I have a cold case, unsolved cold case homicide from Fort Smith, Arkansas, Melissa Witt. She went missing in December of 1994, and about 6 weeks later, her body, in January 1st, I believe, her body was found in the Ozark National Forest. And as of 2023, the case is still cold. It's unsolved. So I'm going to give you all that information. But first, I always feature a missing person, and this information comes from neverforgottenarkansas.gov, which is the the Arkansas Missing Persons Database. I'll get it out in a minute. And tonight's featured missing person is Aaron James Balcom. He is just 16 years old. He is a white male, 5'8", 115 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes, and he went missing on July 12th of this year from Dardanelle, Arkansas. So if you have any information, you can contact the Dardanelle Police Department at 479-229-2533. This is a pretty fresh case, so I would please ask you to share this video. I will put the link to this information in the description box so you can share it anywhere and everywhere. If you're in any Facebook groups, true crime groups, or just on your personal profile page, it would be very much appreciated if you would share it to help get this information out to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. All right, that is our missing person for the night, and we will get to our case. As usual, I'm having problems with my slides. Okay, Melissa Witt. She went missing from Fort Smith, Arkansas, from the Bowling World parking lot on December 1st, 1994. And her on January 13th, 1995, her body was found in the Ozark National Forest, and it was deemed that she was the victim of a homicide. And she was just 19 years old. She had everything going for her. Her friends say she was hardworking, ambitious. She was a college student. She was known as Missy to her friends and family. She was an honor student at West Ark Community College, which is now known as the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. She lived with her mother, Mary Ann. When she wasn't in college classes, she had a part-time job at a local dental clinic working as a dental assistant. She wanted to be a dental hygienist. Her friends say she was friendly, kind-hearted, hard worker, just an all-around good girl. So the timeline of her disappearance and leading up to her disappearance on the morning of December 1st, 1994, Melissa had asked her mom if she could borrow some money, and she told her that she would pay her back with her next paycheck. Well, for one reason or another, her mother didn't give her the money, but then she felt bad about it later, and she left a note for Melissa asking her to join her for a meal, for a burger later at the Bowling World Bowling Alley in Fort Smith, Arkansas. So after that, Melissa goes to her classes at the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. And about sometime in the afternoon, Melissa had lunch with one of her friends at the Chick-fil-A, which was just down the road from the college. Oh, I think my slides are getting messed up on me here again. Oh, no. And then after lunch, she went to work at the dentist office where she was employed part-time as a dental assistant. Now, at 5 o'clock, when she went to leave her work, her car wouldn't start. Evidently, she had left, I think they said her headlights on and the battery went dead. And so a kind stranger, it says, came along and gave her a jump start. Now, the police did look at this Good Samaritan very closely, and he was dismissed as a suspect. I say he. I'm assuming it was a he. I don't know if it would ever said if it was a he or a she. I'm just assuming it's a he. So about 5:45, Melissa arrived back home. A neighbor saw her come and go. She changed clothes, and the neighbor said that she believed that Melissa wore a white V-neck sweater and blue jeans. So sometime in the evening, she arrived at the Bowling World Bowling Alley to meet her mother to have a supper with her, but she never made it inside the bowling alley. She was abducted from the parking lot. Now, I believe they said that the security cameras at the bowling alley did not work. Police did look at security cameras from surrounding businesses, but none of them were close enough to be able to see anything, unfortunately. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So around 6:30 or so, witnesses report hearing a woman in distress in the parking lot. Two people, a mother and her young son, and it did not say, I couldn't find anywhere how young this son was. The son went out to retrieve a book from their car, and he said he heard a woman scream, "Help me." Now, no matter if you're a child or an adult, that would get your attention and be disturbing. He didn't see anyone, but he stated the time was around 6:30 or 6:40. Like as I said before, Bowling World did not have security cameras in the parking lot, and the convenience stores and places around the cameras were too far away to catch anything. to be useful. And of course, they interviewed the mother, and which I don't think the mother heard anything, because it just said the boy went out to the car, and he's the one that heard the screams for help. So at 7:45, so a little bit more than an hour later, a person found Melissa's car keys and turned them in at the front desk at Bowling World. And no one noticed that there was blood splatter on the keys at the time. It didn't say how much blood splatter was on the keys, but of course, if you just happen to see keys in a parking lot and pick them up, you're not really going to give them a close inspection. So it's understandable that whoever turned them in didn't see the blood on the keys. So at about 2 a.m., Melissa's mother, Mary Ann, she calls Tara, who was, I believe it said it was one of Melissa's best friends, to see if she had heard from Melissa. Tara was sleeping. Her mother woke her up, and she said she did not know where Melissa was, but that the next evening on that Friday that they had plans to go out. Didn't say exactly what they're going to do, but normal college kids, you can imagine. All right, so Melissa's mother. So at 9 a.m. on December 2nd, Melissa's mom reports her missing. She had assumed that Melissa was out with friends that evening, but when Melissa never came home, she grew worried, of course. And so she reported Melissa missing. Now, the officers told Mary Ann that Melissa is over 18 and she can leave on her own accord, that they really couldn't file a missing persons report. I've talked about this before. I understand why they do that, but if their family members or friends are telling them this is way out of character, they would never do, just disappear without letting anybody know. So at that point, when she reported her missing, there was no reason to believe that she was abducted. So on December 3rd, the next day, Melissa's car is found at the Bowling World parking lot. Now, one question I had was, it looks like, and this is just my opinion, my thoughts, if Melissa was supposed to meet her mom at Bowling World, she never showed up, disappeared, I would think that the first thing place they would look was in the Bowling World parking lot to see if her car was there. Now, granted, this is happening in a short period of time, but that's just food for thought. So Melissa drove a white 1995 Mitsubishi Mirage. Now they said the car did show signs of a struggle. And of course the patron had discovered her car keys, turning them in the night before. Sorry, this writing is so small. And my old eyes, even with my glasses, I have trouble reading. So when authorities were called, and when they were examining the car, they found a gold hoop earring, a crushed hair clip. Of course, our car keys have been found, and they also found pools of blood around the car. They didn't specify how much blood, how big the pools were, but I watched the documentary Uneven Ground the other night, and it did have some pictures, some actual crime scene photos, and they weren't like huge, massive pools, but I mean, you could definitely tell that it was blood. Like I said, the keys had traces of blood on them, and shortly after that, Melissa's friends and family began to hand out missing persons flyers throughout the River Valley area, which is in the Fort Smith area. So this is another, I think, the most, aside from the boy that heard the screams for help in the parking lot, this is the most interesting piece of, I would call it, evidence. Definitely very strange, very disturbing. So on January 11th, police received a strange phone call a day or two prior to the discovery of Melissa's body. And one of the detectives says, "I've always felt that the phone call was tied to what had happened," which is Detective Ryder, which I believe was the lead detective on the case. At that time, we didn't have caller ID in the office. It was a voice recording on the machine we had at our major crimes office. And on the voice message recording, a lady called with a really strong Southern accent. But here in Arkansas, because I'm from Arkansas, we all have really strong Southern accents. But anyway, a lady called, and she could be heard saying, "Go ahead and tell them what you found." And Detective Ryder said there also was a younger male voice, also with a really strong Southern accent. He said, "I don't recall exactly what the male voice said, but it was something like, 'I can't.'" And then the phone was disconnected. So I get the phone call, woman's voice, tell them what you found or tell them what you saw, and the male voice said, "I can't." So I'm going on the assumption that the detectives may have, or they definitely, Detective Ryder said it felt that it was the key, or that the phone call was tied to what happened. Possibly that this male had stumbled upon Melissa's body. She was found in the Ozark National Forest. The place where she was found, from what I've read, was a lot of deer hunting went on there. And in December, I would imagine, I should know when deer season is. All my kinfolks hunt, but so you would think, that there would be, if there's deer hunting going on there, there would be people through there and it would stumble upon the body. Now, why this gentleman or boy, it didn't say how old, they might not could have told, I cannot talk tonight. They might not have been able to tell how old this male was by his voice, but for one reason or another, he, and of course, if I was to find anybody who has a conscience, any normal person, if you stumble across a body, I would be in shock. So, but you would assume that they would have, at least, even if did it anonymously, give say, "Hey, I found this body here. You need to go check it out." But for whatever reason, that didn't happen. Okay, so they got the phone call. Okay, so on January 13th, 1995, Melissa's body is found by two trappers in the Ozark National Forest. Now, trappers, people are up that way, trap a lot of things, a lot of critters, but not relevant to the case, so we will move on. They found Melissa's body. She had been brutally murdered and left to die along a logging trail in the Ozark National Forest. Now, this was about 50 miles from where she was abducted from. So whoever abducted her drove 50 miles to dump her body there. Unknown where she was actually assaulted and killed at. as far as I know, they've never found any other crime scene. So we don't know if she was assaulted and killed somewhere between the bowling alley and where her body was found, or if she was killed there. We don't know. The trapper who was looking for signs of deer on a U.S. Forest Service road about 18 miles north of Ozark, which is a town in Arkansas up that way, noticed Witt's nude body lying face down about 30 yards in from the road. The body was found on Forest Service Road 1551, located off Franklin County 111, which is also known as Jethro Road. Now, her body was found, and this is an actual picture of where her body was found. You can see they call it a headstone-shaped rock. You can see kind of in the upper middle picture. Now, when she was found, her body was laying, I believe, it said face down in front of this rock. Now, if I remember correctly, in an article I read, they believe that she had been moved. From their investigations, the CSI came in, and they believe that when she was first placed there, she was placed on the other side of that rock, where she, like between, you can see that tree there, like between the tree and the rock. And I believe they said that they determined that she had been left in a sitting position. Now, you could speculate it could be posing or a signature if this was a serial offender. But as far as I have read, I don't really think the officials think that it was a serial offender. Now, later on, there are several persons of interest that they investigated, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So the question I have is if they think that she was left behind the rock in a sitting position and she was found on this side of the rock laying face down, who moved the body? Did the offender come back at some later date and move her to the other side of the rock so she would be seen more easily? Because a lot of offenders they keep up with the investigation, they watch the news, read the newspapers, keep the clippings. Maybe this person thought that, hey, they're not going to find her and where she's at, so I'm going to take a chance and go back and move her to the other side where she maybe can be seen more easily. Or we'll go back to this phone call of this male that or the female called and wanted the male to tell them what you found. Is it possible that when this male came upon Melissa's body, for some reason or another, he moved it to the other side of the rock for whatever reason? Maybe I'm sure, I'm going to assume there was no malicious intent. Maybe he moved her over there to check to see if she was alive. Or these are just my thoughts, my opinion. For some reason or another, he did not want to be the one to wanted anybody to know that he found her, even though he most likely had nothing to do with it. But he was afraid that if he left her on that side of the rock, she wouldn't be found. So he moved her body to this side of the rock in hopes that somebody else would find the body and report it. That's just a thought, just a possibility. I would love to know what your thoughts are, so please leave your comments on anything in this case. If you have comments or ideas about any of it, I would love to hear them. All right, so at 1 p.m., the coroner pronounces Melissa deceased. Her clothing was missing from the crime scene, including her jeans, her undergarments, her purse, one earring, and her Mickey Mouse watch. And she had been strangled and essayed. So we have the taking of items from the crime scene. Undergarments, purse, one earring, and a Mickey Mouse watch. Could these, if this was a serial offender, possibly taken as trophies? As far as I can remember, I could be wrong. I don't think that they ever found any of these items. I could be wrong. I've read so many articles, I can't keep up with them. But I don't think they ever recovered anything except for the items that were recovered at the parking lot. All right, so on January 17th, they had Melissa's funeral at the Grand Avenue Baptist Church, followed by burial at Woodlawn Memorial Cemetery. All right, so we will get to the persons of interest. The first one, Larry Swearingen, was looked at as a person of interest mainly because he was a convicted offender. He took the life of Melissa Trotter, who was killed in a very similar way as Missy. They were both 19 at the time, and they were found in large forest in Arkansas. Plus, Swearingen was known to be in the area around the time that Missy was abducted. Of course, he denied. He was questioned about it. Of course, he denied killing Missy. And he was executed on January 27th, 2009 for the killing of Melissa Trotter. In my opinion, he's kind of down low on the list of as far as me thinking that he was the one that took Melissa's life. He was on death row at the time. Of course, this is just my opinion. He was on death row at the time. What did he have to lose to, admit if he did do it? What did he have to lose? Admitting he did it. A lot of these offenders want to add to their body count, so to speak. But like I said, he denied it, and he was executed. So that's the end of him. Now, the next one, which is probably, in my opinion, the number one person of interest that I would definitely be looking at is Travis Dale Crouch. He is an Arkansas native. He is currently in prison in Colorado for the assault of a woman he met at a mall parking lot. So we got the parking lot. He abducted a woman from a parking lot. Melissa was abducted from a parking lot. And this is all just my opinion. I'm just thinking and trying to find similarities, connections. He forced her to go with him to a remote mountaintop in the woods, where he made her undress. So we got abducted from a parking lot. He took her to a wooded forest area. After he assaulted her, he had passed out from drugs he had taken, and she escaped. Thank goodness. It's horrible that she had to go through the assault, but at least she escaped, and she is still alive. Crouch has a history of drug abuse and alcoholism and violence against women. So there's another violence against women. He was in Fort Smith at the time of Missy's disappearance and killing. And he had lived and worked just 1 mile away from where her body was found. There was a church camp that he had attended as a child, was also nearby. And at the time of her abduction and killing, he was a carpenter at that same church camp. So he was in the area, general area of Fort Smith, and he was within worked and knew the area very well, within a 1 mile radius of where her body was found. So, abducted from a parking lot, taken to a remote wooded area. He knew the area very well. If I remember correctly from what I read, he was a deer hunter. He hunted that area where her body was found. The church was 1 mile away, so he knew that area very well. Had a history of violence against women. He had been convicted of assaulting a woman. And I believe I read he is in, like I said, he's in the Colorado prison, and I think they said he would be eligible for parole in 2024. So if that is true, that's a very scary thought, and they need to be looking at him, in my opinion, very closely for this case. All right, we just got a couple more. Okay, so Charles Ray Vines, he was looked at extensively as a potential suspect. He admitted to assaulting and killing an elderly woman, and he was also a necrophiliac. Very pleasant guy. I'm trying to think. They had a name for him. I think they wanted to call him. I think they nicknamed him the Red River Killer or something to that effect. Anyway, there's two more persons of interest that weren't really. Douglas Lawrence Logan. He was interviewed 3 times about Melissa, and William Dealer Taylor. He was a convicted predator in the area who was also questioned about Melissa's killing. So those are the main persons of interest. As of 2023, no one has been convicted of Missy's abduction and killing. And there's currently a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction of the individual responsible for her abduction and killing. Anyone with information about Melissa is urged to contact the Fort Smith Police Department. You can email them at the criminal investigations at fortsmithpd.org, or you can call 479-709-5100. All right, so that. Now there is, like I said, I watched it's called Uneven Ground. It's a documentary by LaDonna Humphrey. Very good documentary, lots of good information. I urge you to watch it if you have time. It was within the last, I believe, 2 or 3 months. It was released on Amazon, but I found it on YouTube for free. Now, sorry, my cat is wanting my attention, so just ignore him. So LaDonna Humphrey and her team actually worked on. They spent 8 years on a journey like no other, and in the documentary, there's never before seen case files, interviewing witnesses and potential suspects, and they worked alongside retired detectives to find justice. Humphrey says she is hopeful that the documentary will help solve the case. Absolutely. She says, for 8 long years, my team put their heart and soul into our documentary, Uneven Ground, the Melissa Witt story. Their dedication and passion, however, goes far beyond just telling Melissa's story. It's grown into an active effort to find justice for a 19-year-old young woman they never knew. So when this film took off on YouTube with almost 1 million views, and then when Amazon Prime picked it up, we were all so humbled and hopeful, because we know that this kind of national attention is the key to cracking Melissa's cold case wide open. My cat is very unhappy with me right now. I apologize. I believe that her story being told on Amazon Prime platform will usher in justice that we have been fighting so hard for, said Humphreys. Get back. Hold on. I have to discipline my cat. Get back. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not mean to my cat. I just have to urge him to move back with a pillow. Anyway, so like Miss Humphrey said, this is getting the documentary to the Amazon platform. Millions and millions more people will be able to see it, and hopefully it will bring renewed interest in Melissa's case. The reason I did this video now is, for one, they were releasing the video on Amazon, and there's a ton of very good stories, Melissa story videos on YouTube, but I haven't seen any recent ones, so I wanted to do one of my own, just to kind of get I'll say renew interest, and try to get it into more people's vision and in their mind, and hopefully generate some new leads or more interest, like I said, and just keep her name out there so that she is never forgotten. That's the most important thing that I do here on my little baby channel, is try to keep our missing persons and unsolved cold cases, keep them out there so they're never forgotten. So I would appreciate very much if you like the video, share the video, comment on the video. The more likes, shares, and comments, YouTube pushes it out more people see it, and the more people that see it, the better. So I think that is it. Before you leave, if you like what we have here at Southern Gal True Crime, please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell, click all, so you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. I don't really have a set schedule of uploading videos. I usually try to do either upload videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. I try to do one to two videos a week, depending on my work schedule. And if you don't share anything else, please share, comment on our missing persons and our unsolved cold case features. I have playlists, so you can just go through the playlist. But it would be very much appreciated if you would just do anything you can to help get the word out about the missing. All right, so happy Friday, everyone. Everybody have a good weekend. I may be back Sunday with another video if I can find the time to get it recorded. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Please be careful out there. Take care of each other. That's the most important thing we can do, is take care of each other. And sorry, I'm still getting used to StreamYard. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. It is very much appreciated. And happy weekend.